Martin O'Neill has refused to rule out a return to the international fold for Donegal's Shay Given during his end-of-season press conference at the Carlton Hotel in Blanchetown today. The former Northern Ireland international also said he won't mind if Wes Hoolahan stays at Norwich despite his lack of first-team football. Let's hear what Martin had to say.
The point about the international management as opposed to club management is something I knew that existed, but when it actually hit you that particular weekend, then it was kind of strange. But as I say, passed on since that, watched a lot of games. You have a problem at times going to some matches where you're not sure whether you're hoping that the player might be playing. For instance, Sunday, go to Norwich and maybe to watch Wes. I knew that Pilkington probably wouldn't be fit enough yet, but you're hoping that Wes might get on at some stage, or he might start the game. That is totally the manager's prerogative. I would never ask the manager about, beforehand to save you a journey. I don't think, as a club manager, I wouldn't want an international manager to ask me about my team beforehand. So I wouldn't impress that upon him. But you go into some matches and you think, well, maybe the player doesn't play is a bit of, obviously, more than a hint of disappointment. But that you take, And there are some matches that you can go to that are searched for players to be playing in. Everton at this minute, young Coleman, McCarthy doing exceptionally well. Stoke, you'll always find one or two of the lads will be playing. But it's been very interesting.
Martin, you mentioned Wes Hoolahan there. You touched on the limited opportunities he's had in Norwich recently. Do you feel that he should consider maybe a loan move to help his chances?
Right, okay. I'm glad you mentioned this point, really, because there was nothing irritated me more as a club manager to find out a couple of my players that I had fallen out with but was playing international football, and the international manager said he should move. He should move. It's none of your business to tell me he should be moving. Sometimes it was a wee bit lost in translation, but it was really irritating. So the last thing I want to do, I do not want to be running around and telling Wes Hoolahan he should do this, he should do that. And I certainly do not want I don't want Chris on the phone to me and say, Martin, don't be doing that. So I never wanted it as a club move. But there are some players who because of certain circumstances might not play every single week. Wes hasn't played, regularly for Norwich for some time, but I thought he was excellent for us. In the game against Latvia, really excellent. I thought he did very, very well. You have a kind of an idea about it. Of course, you would love players to be playing. Of course, you want them to be playing pretty regularly. You want them because they're getting that competitive feel about games all the time, and actually it's easier for them to drop in. And if it doesn't mean that I wouldn't pick someone that I think has the ability that might not have played for 4 or 5 weeks. But I must admit, it is easier. It is easier to contemplate things like that there if players are playing more regularly. So that answers it's fine. But I wouldn't be turning around and saying someday to head off on loan just for my benefit. It just doesn't happen anyway. And the club will ignore it. And they'll especially ignore it if I've suggested it.
Is Shay given any possibility at all? Or
I seriously, and I know I'm like the old long playing record here, I would not discount that. Not discount it at all. I haven't spoken to Shay. I would do at some stage, but if he turned around and said, "Listen here, I'm back. He's now out on loan at the moment," I wouldn't discount it. So, but I'm having a conversation with you here about somebody that I haven't actually spoken to. I know Shay, met him a number of times, but that was before I'd taken the job on. But that is something that I certainly wouldn't discount if I had a conversation and he was thinking about coming back. I might be a million miles out of my ground here, at my depth, because he may have no intention whatsoever of coming back. I haven't spoken to any player. Funnily enough, the number I wanted to get was Darren Gibson's number, and we haven't been able to get there, whether it's a change of number or not, but I want to get just to say, listen, he got injured playing for Ireland. He's very, very much in the plans. He will not probably be fit this season, but hopefully for them. and he is one player that I would want to talk to.
Martin,
Has McLean been tweeting anymore? Has he? What?
Wasn't happy with the game being abandoned there, right?
Especially since he scored. Unbelievable, honestly. It could only happen to McLean. Only happen.
Martin, could I get your thoughts on the format of the qualification system for the next Euro?
Yeah, I find that it's obviously interesting. It's nice to hear that some people are saying we've already qualified, which is really great. You know, it means I can put my feet up now and just not worry about it.
Martin, will Robbie Keane be your captain going forward?
At this moment, if the game was tomorrow, I wouldn't see why not. I wouldn't see why not. If our first competitive game was tomorrow, I wouldn't see. Lots of things can happen in that time, but absolutely, and I'm not really one for wanting to change this. You know, Robbie's been the captain of the side at this moment, and if he didn't do it, you know, John was the second one to step into it. As I said, you know, it's a whole lifetime between now and September time. But if the game was tomorrow morning, I would, you know, and everybody was fit and I had the same players available, and Robbie was playing, he would be the captain. I've seen one or two players that have interested me. Have they been good enough at this moment to go and step straight into the international squad? I don't know. Sometimes I think that that I want players kind of to prove themselves. I didn't really want to give caps out in sort of willy-nilly basis. Conversely, I also think that if I do make some changes, maybe better in a friendly game, I'd like to be as equipped as possible when we step in September. That's really what I'm trying to aim for. And if it means a slight contradiction somewhere along the way, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to live with that. Well, I saw the programme, and Roy and I have spoken about it, and whatever he says goes, you know. So, you know, and Roy said, "Oh, it was a bit cheesy," and I totally agreed. I thought it was rather cheesy myself. So there. But please don't print that, otherwise, no. I think he was joking in saying it. So they were. Yeah, I mean, I did say to him, I wondered how Scholes didn't get into the team, you know, and he said it was his choice. So it might not have been my choice.